Is here. We got a legend on the line.
Ted Valentine is here with us, and 10 Final Fours, 4 championship games, Teddy.
Yes.
And Teddy, TV Teddy, what do we call you?
Well, let's see. My mother always called me Theodore when she was angry. My college students always called me Ted. Never was called Teddy until the fans started going Teddy. Okay, Teddy. So that's where I got that from the fans. So hey, it is what it is.
Who gave you TV Teddy?
Just happened to be that's my initials, Ted Valentine. So I mean, somebody was very, very creative. He's always on TV, so it's Teddy Valentine. So they started calling me TV Ted. So that's when I was younger, you know.
Do you like it?
Do you feel like have you embraced it? Like, do you like it?
Let me tell you what. It must be like I must be one of those people that the more upset you get with me, the more I kind of just do my thing. That's just how I am. I use I take all that negativity and I turn it into something. You know, basically what I do. I mean, it's just that I had to get over that at a young age because you always worry about what everybody says about you and everybody. Well, I'm in a sport that they either love you or they dislike you. So that's just I've embraced it. It is what it is. I think that as I've gotten older, it has subsided a whole lot. Now I always hear, when you're going to retire? When you're going to retire? When you retire? When you retire? And now it's that other aspect. I kind of embrace it more because the fans are more lovable now. I think fans are a lot different than it was because this will be my 39th season, and fans are they're just who they are. I mean, it's just I feed off of them. I do. I just feed off of them. I mean,
we can tell. Hey, we can tell, no doubt.
I just feed off of them. I mean, because they give me a lot of vibe. I make faces now. I more giggle and more laugh at them now, probably than whatever. It isn't too bad because I learned about the fans. If you become antagonistic with them, they become antagonistic with you. So it's got to be me. I get blamed for games that I didn't even work. Okay, I get blamed for calls other officials make. Now all of a sudden, my past, I was an ex-educator. Now they're always screaming at me, "Hey, go over and help him. Get him on the same page you are." I mean, but put it this way, I love doing what I do. I just love it. I always have.
Ted, I've always wanted to ask you if you remember this, and I'm guessing you probably don't because, like you said, you've ref for 39 years. But my last year at Purdue, it's 2012. We're playing Indiana, and it's at Mackey. You're reffing the game, and we're losing by like 4 at the under 4 timeout, and by like the 2-minute mark, we're down 18. They've got like Oladipo, they've got Cody Zeller, and we miss a shot. And I knock it out of bounds, but I thought that maybe the other crew members with you are Mike Sanzier and Pat Driscoll.
Okay.
And Sanzier calls it Indiana ball, and I literally go crazy on it. And I probably deserve to get a technical, but as I'm walking away, you scream my last name. You go Hummel, and you literally I look back, and you're like, you've been in this league a long time, and you're a hell of a lot better than that. And I felt like I let my father down. Like I literally did. It changed my mindset in the moment. And I'm guessing you don't remember it, but it has always stuck with me. It's always stayed with me the way that you said that. Like just the respect that I have for you as an official, but also the way you worded it. I was like, man, I really let this dude down.
Well, I think we're all represents our fathers in some way because I represent mine because I was his only child and he was a Marine. So it just I always carry that with me. Don't let my father down, even though he may be gone. Don't embarrass my name. I mean, don't embarrass his name. And I've always carried that. And it was just always that I could always recognize players because especially when you've been around them. If you've been around Gene Keady's players, I've been around Gene Keady's players since I came in the Big Ten in 1986. Yep. So I was always familiar with every player, like Matt Painter, Big Dog Rock. I was always familiar with all the Quanzo, Martin. I was always familiar with all the good players. I mean, I was by their personality, because their personality on the court always told me basically who they were as a person, just about.
Ted, go back to when you first started to get into officiating. There was a story about you in Bristol, Connecticut, I heard.
Yes,
of a
yes.
ice cooler or something.
Yeah. I think, let's see, where was I? I was like 22 years old, I think. Yeah, 22. I just got out of college. I started teaching high school. In fact, I teach at the same high school. I taught at the same high school that where Brad Paisley went to,
Really?
and Cynthia Bissett, Lady Gaga's mother. So she was in high school with me. Brad Paisley was years after me. We went to Bristol, Connecticut, and back then, Bristol, Connecticut, at ESPN, it was like a trailer, just about, that they had. And we went to camp to a private school under the instructor, J. Dallas Shirley, may he rest in peace. There's a manual, NCAA manual was named after him. A lot of great referees came through him. Jim Howe, Jim Birch, Lenny Wirtz, Joe Forte. A whole lot of great referees came through the Southern. So I decided, well, I'm going to go to this camp. Being a poor kid from West Virginia, that I decided, well, I go to this camp. And I always was a sports-oriented type person, very daredevilish, was never afraid of anything, basically. And so we went to a break, and we had a styrofoam cooler in the room, 3 of us. And they just got to being Darren and whatever it is, nice sunny day, and there were these 2 gorgeous women. They were laying out and they were sunbathing. And they said, well, they're this, and we were going, hey, honey, and all this stuff. Just young, immature people at the time. And so they probably dared, the cooler of water. And they were just going back and forth. So I grabbed the cooler. I said, I'll do it. And I took it and threw the water out the window and hit these 3 ladies. Well, all the obscenities come flying back up and yelling. And we're behind the wall. We're laughing, because we think this is funny, Well, Lord behold, that if you know something about water, it leaves a trail down the wall. So we go off break, and Mr. Shirley and the headmaster of the place, big guy, had to be about 7 foot tall, huge dude. And Mr. Shirley stopped all 3 of us going to class and said, young men, what did you guys do? And we're stuttering around and this and that, and jamming around. And he said, before we get somebody start telling it, there's a water trail coming from your room, basically what he said. So I kind of like weaseled my hand up. Yeah, Mr. Shirley, I did it. I'm so sorry. I threw it, and I had to apologize, and I apologized to the guy and his family. So I was brought up the right way. So Mr. Shirley told us in camp. He says, "Well, young man, I'm sorry, but you need to pack up and you need to leave." I said, "What?" He said, "You need to leave the camp." So the guy I came with, he had a car, so he drove, so he had to leave the camp too, because I had to ride back with him. So all the way back, he cussed me all the way back. I was younger than him, and so in the fall, that summer, I'm sitting around, and I get a letter from the Southern Conference. I'm going, what's the letter for? So I open the letter up. It's a letter from J. Dallas Shirley, the Southern Conference, and says, "You've been invited to join the staff of the Southern Conference." I said, "What?" I said, "Nah, this got to be wrong. This can't be happening." Well, Lord behold, so I happened to dial him up. And I said, "Mr. Shirley, my name's Ted Valentine, so. So I received a letter from you about joining the Southern." He says, he always had a way of, had a little fatherly touch. He says, "Young man," he says, "I felt that you deserve to be in the Southern. You got a long way to go to grow up. But if you're standing up and you got some honesty, and you got lots of honesty and a lot of integrity, you're the type of person that I'm looking for." And that's how I got in the Southern Conference staff. I wouldn't advise anybody to go out and do that anymore, but
You don't think?
but that's how I got into the Southern Conference at age 23 years old. And it's been going ever since.
Wow. Ted, I think the great thing about college basketball has to be like the fans, and whether you're in the Big Ten, the ACC, all the conferences you've refed everywhere. Do you have a favorite place to call a game?
Oh my goodness gracious. I'm glad you brought that up. my first league game was at Mackey Arena in the
Really?
Big Ten. Yeah, I was 26 years old, 9:30. They had, I think Gary Grant at the time was playing for Michigan, I think. And that's the first time I met Coach Katie, Kevin Stallings, Steve Lavin, all those guys. They were at like Purdue because I lived in Columbus, Ohio, and I got there 5 hours for the game. So I basically was all excited, whatever it is, and I got there 5 hours before the game. It was my first time in the Big Ten as far as a conference play. But Mackey, I always loved Mackey because it's a big floor, big aprons, big sideline. You're not running into people. I love Vanderbilt. Some people don't like Vanderbilt. Well, I love Vanderbilt because it's big. Coaches over your shoulders, so you got to get the play right. The coaches over your shoulders, okay? But I always love those places like Minnesota. I've always loved those floors.
You love those elevated floors, huh?
Yes,
where you're on stage.
And that's why I love them Final Fours, because you're up on the stage, and it's either you perform or you don't perform, or you go home.
Yep.
But I've always liked those arenas. I've always loved those places. Those were always my atmosphere. And I can say this, maybe because of Coach Katie, in that it's about Mackey. It is something about being in Mackey Arena that was just different. I just loved it because there was one time they changed the time of the game. And I don't know if you were playing there or not, like Robbie, and they changed the time of the game. And I think this may have been Matt Painter's first year coaching. And we got there late and we were dressing, and I was the first guy to walk out on the floor at Mackey, and the fans stood up and cheered. And I went to the middle of the court and I bowed all four sides. Okay. Everybody bust out laughing. And Mackey's always been my spot. I just always loved the people. There's something about Mackey. There's something about Minnesota. There's something about Vanderbilt. I'd rather work those places. Probably people talk about, well, go to Duke and all these other places. Yeah, that's cool. But it's just something about those other atmospheres. They have more, I don't know the right word probably to use, but they have like more electric in them. I mean, when you go to Mackey, you get to see the big mascot, and you get to see the fans, and the fans stand and cheer, and fans yell. They wear black, and I just always loved it. I told Coach K that last week because I speak to him maybe once a month or whatever. And Mackey was one of my favorite places to go. It really was.
Can I get an update on the Gene Katie, Ted Valentine golf standings? Because I know that's been something that happens a lot.
Played yet. We haven't played yet because I was supposed to get together with myself, Tubby Smith, and who's my man there? Cliff Ellis. So we're supposed to have a standing game a few years ago, and I had a very, very bad vertigo attack, so I couldn't play. So they called me at my house, and they was just ribbing on me. Just ripped me. They just, all three of them just ripped me to death, But I talked to Coach Katie once every blue moon, and I haven't caught up with him because of the COVID. Because I've been in Myrtle Beach, and I see him now and then. But I always enjoy visiting them. I do.
So, all right, give me your craziest story with a coach that wouldn't let it go. Somebody that you got into it with on the court, maybe you teed up or whatever, you got into it with, and they followed you out of the arena. They're banging on the officiating door, whatever it was. Give me the craziest damn story ever with a coach.
I'd say it'd probably be Bill Foster, may he rest in peace. He was a coach of Northwestern the first couple of years, and we could never get along. I don't know what the deal was, because as I got older, I kind of thought I got a little better. And he was just always on me. And one night he was at Minnesota, and I was with Sam Licklider, and I can't remember who the other person was. And this was a Thursday, and game's over. He's getting beat by 20 something. So I always got a motto: hey man, kill him with kindness. Just get him out of here. Don't do anything to bring any tension. Just, hey, here you go. Okay. Everybody's ready to go to the press conference. Everybody got their old Easter speech prepared. And so all of a sudden, I get 2-3 calls, and all of a sudden I get this. Oh, that's a big call, Teddy Valentine. That's a big. He starts that clapping. It's sarcastic stuff. And I'm looking at him going, just looking. So now I make another call. Oh yeah, another call. Now he does this like 2-3 times. Now the third time, he does it again. Now the game's ends, and I'm going off the court, and I'm going, what's his problem? So I go down the steps, down the gopher hole, and he's behind me. Big call, Teddy. I'm telling you, I thought maybe, we might have to do something here, So at even Robbie would know that we make the right at the arena. They go right straight into the locker room, basically. And I'm got smoke in my ears about Bill Foster. I'm going, what's this damn guy's problem? What's this dude's problem? So Sam Licklider goes to me. He says, I'll see you Saturday, because we're at Michigan State. And that's when Judd Heathcote was coaching Michigan State. This was before Tom Izzo. So I'm going, where are we? He says, we got Northwestern at Michigan State.
Oh, no.
Okay. I said, ooh, that's bad schedule. Okay. So now I show up, and we're in a new place, and we go shake hands, and he gives me this fishy handshake because he doesn't know I'm a communication person. He gives me this fishy handshake and smoke coming out my ears. And I yelled at Sam Licklider. I said, Sam, it's on. Okay. It's on. That's that renegade in me. So now we stand. I go across the court, and I can't remember who it was, but the ball goes up and the ball goes out of bounds, and nobody doesn't know who the ball goes off to start the game, which is pretty bad. And all of a sudden, Bill Foster gets up. He goes, the same 2 guys I had on Thursday. Okay. So I'm going, what in the world is Bill's problem here? So now we're in the game going up and down, and all of a sudden Bill decides he's going to start the first 5 minutes. He says, Teddy, he says, you were MIA the other night. I said, what? He says, you were MIA. I said, come on, coach, let's go. We don't want to go down this road. Now he keeps on going. Now his staff starts staring at me. I'll go, oh, I see how these guys are going to play it. Okay, they're just staring at me. I'll go, oh, okay, bad move, boys. So I'm down, trying to be my patience. He's on the road. And all of a sudden he said, you didn't respond to what I told you. I said, what was that? You were MIA. I said, okay, coach, I got you. So finally something happens, and somebody does something, and I turn to him, and he goes crazy about something. I turn around and go, whack, technical foul. Bam. I said, must just get over it. He goes, oh, Mr. Big Shot. I said, Coach Foster, if I was MIA on Thursday, I got me a POW today. That's all I can tell you. And I turned around. Of course, I got a phone call for that one too. But he was probably one of those guys that just always had a way to irritate me. But as he got through his career, as I got around him a little longer, I got the chance to know him, because there was one night he took his glasses off and put them in his pocket and turned to me and says, I got my glasses in my pocket. That's what he told me. So I ran over to him. I said, and I talked to him in timeout, opened his lapel up. I says, you know what? I like it better when you had Mr. Magoo on your eyeballs. And after that, he and I got along real good. It was just one of those things. It was just one of those guys I had to find a way to warm up to.
I think if we're talking about crazy coaches, this is a good time to maybe talk about Bobby Knight. I went back and watched the 3 Techs from '98. I already had a high level of respect for you just from being around you, from calling games you've done, from playing games, but that place was totally up for grabs. Can you just talk about what that was like?
Well, it was always this thing that when I was a kid, my dad used to tell me, and I got to tell you this story first to get to that one. I had the Fab Five when I was young, and my dad came to the game. He was a Marine. And I was you know how it is when your dad comes and you're going, oh, my dad. You start looking around the arena like, where's my dad? Where's my dad? Mm-hmm. And the first time my dad ever seen me ref. and I lived in Columbus, Ohio at the time. And the Fab Five was playing at Ohio State. And I'm waiting for my dad. Of course, he rolls in there late, and they put him on the front row at Old St. John's Arena. So I ref, and I'm smiling at my dad. Now my dad's here. Okay, can't mess up now. So the first time you get any money like in your life that you want to show your parents, hey, you've helped me, but I can help myself. So I took my dad across the street and took him to dinner, and we're sitting there, and my dad never said anything. He was a Marine. He'd come watch play sports. He never said hardly a word. But if you asked the old school, they were going to tell you, and you wasn't going to like it. So I asked my dad, I said, Dad, how did I do? He says, you want to know how you did? I said, yes, sir. He goes, you're not mentally tough enough. Wow. My father looked at me, and my heart went right to my feet. You're not mentally tough enough. You got that baby, because I came in the league, I was 26 years old, baby face looking kid. And my father says, you're just not mentally tough enough. He said, they'll run you over. And then he went on back to drinking, whatever did, and got real quiet. And I went home, had my tail between my legs, and says, couldn't believe my dad said that to me. Now we go back to the Bob Knight thing. That night, it was one of those things that, as I came through my career, I wasn't afraid of anybody. I just never have been afraid. Just always been, that way. Because when you grew up underprivileged, what's afraid? You don't know what afraid is. You're afraid you might not eat. You're afraid you might not have a house. You're not afraid you might not have a bed. So I was never afraid. And so a lot of people don't know, when I was coming into the league, Coach Knight used to have this fishing show. And I would write him letters about fishing because I used to fish. And he'd write me back a letter.
Yeah.
And he used to have these fishing shows. And the first time I got around him, I go, man, this guy's a big intimidating dude. And he intimidated me at first when I first met him. Because I'd be within the crew and the crews would change. They'd be like, calling me.
He's really tall too. He is a tall person. Like
he had that fiery red sweater on.
Yeah.
And he would always yell and scream, and if I was with the crew dynamics would change. It would change because when he yelled, all 23,000 people would just get quiet. They shut down so they could hear what he would say. And I'm going, oh man. And so the first time I came across him is playing Montana State. So I had to learn a little bit because I had a guy named Bob Workman told me, he said, when you ref, you need to learn the opposition. And my dad used to tell me, you need to study and learn people along your journey because there's something in that picture that you can use to help you down the road. So Coach Knight comes out, he's got this, and then I'll get back to the Bob Knight thing. He come out with this, they're playing Montana State, and he comes out with this powder blue sweater. Coach Knight wears powder blue sweater. He actually had the colors because he liked the coach. So I'm in the game, and the other two guys I'm with, and they had made fun of me the night before because they said, wait till Coach Knight get a load of this young dude, So I'm out there and I'm reffing, and Joe B. Wright's on the bench and all that stuff, and I'm trying to be real quiet. I'm trying not to say anything, trying not to do anything wrong, trying not to get no attention to me.
Yeah, just do your job. That's it.
Just try to get out of here. This is my first year in the Big Ten, and all of a sudden he turns, and I said, come on, White, come on, White. In fact, Steve Alford was playing for him. And I said, come on, White. Kind of like a little cheerleader. Come on, White, come on out. And all of a sudden I hear, he turns around to me, excuse my French, says, God damn it, they'll be there. And he kept saying it. So I tried to force myself again, shaking, going, what is going on? I said, God damn it. I said, they'll be there. So I said, well, he's either now or never. So I kind of forced the issue. I just kept forcing it. So they come out the huddle, and he always had something in his mouth or something. And he always had them big black shoes. He always had them black shoes on. Okay. Cause I always remember everything, So all of a sudden he yells, he goes, who in the hell's yelling about? I said, right here, coach, you got to bring him out. Well, I'll bring him out when the hell I want to. I said, well, coach, you got to bring him out. Okay. And so finally he kept on talking, and I got inbound the ball in front of his bench, and I'm kind of like holding the ball, but I'm kind of like shaking a little bit. I said, oh man, this dude here, man, yelling and screaming at me. And all of a sudden, And I start calling him sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just can't, sir. And all of a sudden he turns to me, he says, God damn it, you don't call me sir. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going up to the road, and he says, and he turns to me, and excuse my French, he says, you call 3 type people sir: lieutenants, colonels, and is what he says. And he turns to Joe B. Wright. He says, Joe B., I don't see him calling you sir. Okay. So that was my first impression of meeting Coach Knight up close. Well, all the years that I had Coach Knight, there was always be some interesting rhubarb because with him back and forth.
Sure.
Because I basically knew most refs were afraid. They were basically intimidated because I'd see him over talking and yelling at them, and next thing I know, I'd watch the next 3 whistles. I used to watch and go, oh, hell. But he would basically yell and scream and intimidate. But I studied him. When the games were close, he didn't say much to you. When the games got wide open, that's when he would go. So I basically learned him over the years. You know, I tested him all the time. You know, I go, okay, let me find out what this guy's about. He's got on the road, he'd be real nice, you know, and we could go back and forth at each other, you know, and I'd go back and forth. And back then he was making this NutraSweet commercials. And we got in a conversation one night, and I reached in my pocket. I said, well, since you're showing the sweeter side of yourself, I'll show you my sweeter side. So I reached in my pocket and pulled out one of them Nutrisystem packs and put it right in his hand, you know whatever. And he started laughing. Oh, you got jokes, whatever. But I kind of like was trying to feel this guy out because I'm going, shit, I'm going to be around this guy a long time, okay? Because he was a very intelligent guy, very sharp. And so, to answer Robbie's question, most of that situation went back from the 1992 Final Four when he played Duke, and I was involved in the situation. I was in a game with a ref that was afraid of him, and I whacked him, bam, in the Final Four, whack, boom. And it was always one of those things that every time that I'd see him, it was always something from him. It was always something. It was always this venomous, this anger. It was always this
After that, Ted, after that Final Four game, it changed.
Yes, because I started seeing the way he was being. He would start coming at me more, and I'm going, wait a minute, now something wrong with this guy. And he just kept. I don't think he ever let that 92 Final Four go. I don't think he ever let it go because that was the last time he was in the Final Four, you know. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he ever let it go. And I think that I was in the middle of it. And I basically think that that the way he came at me that night, that he threw every left, every right, every jab that he wanted at me.
He emptied the clip is what he did.
Yeah, he tried to, but it didn't work. Okay, because I basically understood him. You know, I basically understood because I got angry at him at my mistake, the first technical foul. I got angry. I went in the huddle and whacked him the first one. We went right in his huddle.
Did you?
It was like a street fight. I said, the hell with you. Here it is. Right up your ass. Here it goes. Okay. So after that, I kind of like subsided and I got cool. I got real down. I got down. I said, okay, now, because he showed his venom and I never showed no anger because I was always taught to. But when I went in this huddle and whacked him at his place, I meant business. I mean, it just wasn't going to be his way. And so like through the course of the game, he kept coming at me and kept coming at me and kept coming at me and kept coming at me. The more he came at me, the more I kind of like, okay, bring it on. Okay, that's the way I was. Like, okay, here I am. But I basically went within myself, got real quiet, real calm. Because if you know anything about a rabid person, the calmer you get, they'll make a mistake. Okay, and he thought he could intimidate me, and he walked around me at halftime and walked out the court, and the crowd was yelling at me, and was yelling, and people were throwing money, and by then I told the other 2 guys, because some refs have a tendency when something goes on, they want to try to hug up the other people. Okay, walk off. Hey, I walked off. I waited till they left, and I walked off all by myself, and then I'm yelling, screaming. I took my time, you know, and I was the first one to come, the last one to come back out. So I basically knew where the situation was going to go because I knew he wasn't going to let it go. I basically knew he had bullets for me. And then he came at me again. And then see, a lot of people don't know the rule was you was only supposed to call 2 texts.
Mhm.
I gave him 3 because it was one of those things that where it was an unfortunate situation because of the spring load of the basket they went down. And it was unfortunate that the rules changed since then because of that. And then I go to the other end. Well, here he comes. Like, like I said, does the same thing again. And I just stood there and let him talk. And see, the first time he came at me, I saw him out of my peripheral vision and I had my arm up to my side of my face. And I'm going, this guy, there's something wrong with this dude. Okay. And then when he got closer to me, he thought he was going to try to bump me, but I took my arms and I switched arms. Is basically what I did. So, I mean, so actually.
You okey-doked him on the floor.
Well, that's because he's playing checkers and I don't play checkers, Okay. And I can laugh about it because I know you guys.
So 2 T's, wait. So 2 T's isn't you're thrown out?
Yeah, 2, you're gone.
Oh.
But when he came at me again.
You hit him with a 3rd.
We wouldn't leave. He had to.
As soon as he finished cussing me again, I went, bang you another one. I gave him another one. I'll never forget that because I remember Tommy O'Neill goes to me, he goes, Ted, now you know the rule. I said, man, forget the rule. I said, this is exceptional. I'm going to accept the rule, okay? So I remember the crowd was throwing money. They were throwing money all over the place.
It was a free-for-all. From watching the tape last night, it was a free-for-all.
But to tell you what, but it was the calmest I ever been. I was real calm. Like they were throwing money and I was picking money up. Okay. I was picking the money up and the crew chief on the game wouldn't do anything because he was scared. So
that's Eddie Hightower. Okay.
So I was picking his money up. I was picking the money up and Tommy comes to me, he says, Ted, he goes, we're going to shoot 2 shots. I said, oh no, we're shooting 4 shots. He starts laughing. He goes, you got to be. I said, we're shooting 4. I said, if I call him, we're shooting 4. Okay. So Tommy O'Neill's kind of snickering. Okay. He goes, boy, I ain't never seen no shit like this. Okay. So I went to the score table and I carried all the money and I put the money on the score. I had a handful of change. I put it down on the thing, but nobody wouldn't go to the PA guy and make the announcement. So I said, well, you know what? What the hell? My dad's Marine. I'll take over now. And I told the guy, I whispered in his ear, I says, if you're going to throw money, please throw more than a penny. That's what I told the guy. Okay. So I said, no, you can't say that. Okay. But I had a smile on my face. Like, yeah, it ain't no big deal. Okay. So we went out the arena and my man, Tommy O'Neill was going, by the time we got in the car and we had a few drinks, a couple people, Tommy O'Neill going, I ain't never seen no shit like that. I never seen no stuff. He says, you were a one-man wrecking ball. Okay. He said, you were just fearless. I said, hey,